thank you so much for coming to DragonCon. We really appreciate having you here. And we are very, very, very excited to have, on this last day, to have a great opportunity to talk to the incredible and wonderful Karen Gillan. Folks doing microphones, please wave your hands. Microphone people. Jump around like you just don't care. Yes. So if you have a question, find that gentleman right there, and we'll get started on those. So thank you for coming back. You keep coming back, so I'm guessing you love DragonCon.
I do. It's my favorite, I think. I've spent a lot of time here now, and it's just so much fun. This is like a very sociable convention as well. Like, you see all of the fans out on the streets and everything, so it's kind of like San Diego a little bit, San Diego Comic-Con.
So I want to start by asking you, when you signed on to be a mutant, did you think that would open, you knew as a career it would open a door for you, but did you think it would open like a huge friggin' door like it's open for you? I mean, did you expect, I mean, how did you go into that?
Well, yeah, I thought that there was definitely a door that was going to open, but the door turned out to be this gigantic. I'm really running with this door metaphor. I'm going to abandon it now. I mean, you know, it's interesting when you get that role in the UK. It's kind of, you know, it's such a national institution where I'm from, and so you sort of know instantly that your life's never going to be the same again. And, you know, like, I got the role, and within an hour of it being announced on the news, there was, like, journalists and stuff outside my parents' house in the middle of nowhere in Scotland. And I was like, okay, this is madness. But that was sort of weirdly to be expected in the UK, because Doctor Who has been going for, you know, 50 years. So, but what we didn't expect was that the show would be so big in America. And then, you know, we knew it was showing in America, but we didn't understand anything about viewing figures or anything like that. And I don't think many of us were on social media at the beginning. And then we came to New York for the first time, and there was just all of these Whovians all over Central Park. And we were like, oh my God, like, this is big in America too. And it was a shock to the system.
You got to do a lot of cool locations. You went to Utah, you did New York, and then you went to Spain.
No, not half bad.
Not half bad for a big week. Is there any place you wish you could have gone that you didn't get to go?
I would have liked to have gone to actual space. Which I feel like they should do. They should do a live episode from space. Imagine that! The whole world would tune in. Maybe aliens would tune in too.
So,
what? Great idea. Let's get Elon Musk on the case.
So, tell us about the first time you saw Matt. You met Matt Smith, and then conversely, tell us about what happened, you know, the last time you saw him. So I hear you two are nuts together.
I guess that's fair. So the first time I ever met Matt, I remember when he was announced as playing the Doctor, and he did this interview that was broadcast all over the UK, and I wasn't even auditioning for Doctor Who at that point, because it was way before then. And I remember watching the video, because I was like, oh my God, the new Doctor Who's been announced! And then I watched him and I was like, oh, he's a good choice. Oh my God. I just felt that he looked like he could be an alien. You know what I mean? But also his mannerisms, and he kind of like looked like this young 26-year-old, but he kind of sounded like a 96-year-old. And all of his like mannerisms were like, oh, I was flabbergasted. Thinking, whoa, this guy is really interesting. Really great choice. And then I got an audition for Doctor Who, and I was like, well, what the hell? And so I did that, then got the recall, and then I walked into the room to read with Matt Smith for the first time, and that was the first time I met him in person. And he was just so friendly and welcoming. He immediately gave me a hug, and I was like, oh, this isn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And then we read, and honestly, like, we just bounced off of each other, like, immediately, right off the bat. And then I was like, oh, I feel like we have something special here. I hope they all agree with me.
I mean, it's incredible for a show that was, at that point, back for such a short time. the chemistry between you guys was like like you've been together for years. It was very much like Lucy and Desi almost in terms of how it played. It was really interesting.
Who's Lucy and Desi?
Lucy Wall and Desi.
Oh, from I Love Lucy.
Yeah, it had that certain. It had a very comedic sort of feel to it. It had a very warm feel to it, but at the same time, it also felt like you'd been doing it for longer than you had. It almost felt like you just walked into this and like, we're doing it.
Yeah, it felt like that in the audition room as well, to be honest. Maybe because we're both like really like energy-wise, and so I was like, oh, he's like that, I'm like that. That's my theory.
So can I ask you about some films?
Yes, please.
So Oculus, which I think is a fascinating film, and a couple other things in that vein. Are you a fan of horror films? Because you picked some really interesting and genuinely scary ones to do.
I love horror films so much. I grew up watching them. I love being scared. I hate it and I love it at the same time. It's like a roller coaster or something. My favorite is The Shining or The Exorcist. Yeah. So I always wanted to do an American horror movie and walk down a corridor and be like, got to do it in Oculus.
And you made a movie with Tom Hanks. What was that like?
That was amazing. Oh my goodness. So that film is called The Circle, and it's about a technology company, and it sort of questions whether our sort of use of technology is going too far and how much are we sharing of our lives. Working with him was amazing. He is one of the nicest people I've ever come across. He just sort of like, you know, because everyone's like, oh my god, it's Tom Hanks, and he walks into a room and he's like talking to every single extra in the scene, and it was just lovely. So yeah, really nice experience.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is a little world that you're inhabiting called the Avengers.
Oh yes.
Which I hear is doing really well for you. And I understand you can't really talk about it for the next one, but you, from what I've heard, you have a larger, more important part in the next part of it that's coming than the first one?
I couldn't say.
But
I can confirm that, yes, I did not disintegrate.
So getting into the Avengers films, it's one thing to sort of get involved in Doctor Who and all of the backstory that comes with that and all the lore and everything, and then go to like the Avengers and Guardians and that whole backstory thing. How did you prepare to be Nebula and sort of get into a film that's not just, oh, this is a film, but this thing is like, you know, going to explode. How did you really get your head into that space?
Well, it was interesting because we've already, I think all of us had already played these characters in different movies. So we knew them inside out by the time we walked onto the Avengers set. And also we knew about the Marvel backstory just from the research for our characters. And for me in particular, what was great was that when I first got the role of Nebula for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I was like, okay, what's the comic book that features Nebula the most? And it was the Infinity Gauntlet. And so I was like, great, I'm going to read that. And then I found out that the next Avengers movies, 2 movies, were going to be based on that comic. So I was like, oh, great, I know all about this already.
So we have some questions, and we're going to start with this gentleman right here.
How long does it take to get into the Nebula makeup?
So on the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it took 5 hours. On the second one, it probably took about maybe less than that, a little less than that. And then now we have it under 2 hours, and it makes me so happy. Normal makeup. Yes, we still have to wrap all of my hair though and put it under a bald cap, and then it's 2 hours of makeup, and then it's 30 minutes to get into the costume with the help of another person. Going to the bathroom is a nightmare, but it's worth it.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, now that we know Jodie's going to be the new doctor, and I want to know, even though it's not probably a possibility, how do you think Amy would interact with what is now her daughter-in-law?
What? Oh, you... Oh! Wait, I'm so confused. Wait, so Riversong...
The new doctor.
Yes, you're right. Okay, this is a lot to take in for me right now. I think that she would love her daughter-in-law. I mean, she already loved her son-in-law, and it's the same person. Gender, I guess is not really a factor in this relationship. You know, technically it's the same person, and so I think Amy would get on with them exactly as she has done before.
Pond.
Hello.
All right. 5 days ago, I came here with my Irish twin, Roy Williams, and her son, River Song, and we did not know you were here. Why?
What?
They didn't know you were at the convention.
Wait, who didn't know?
They came here and they said they didn't know you were here. But
My Irish twin, Roy Williams,
Rory Williams.
and her son, River Song, we did not know you were here.
well, that happens. When a convention is this big, it's hard to keep track of.
But it's Rory Williams and River Song.
Yes.
Wait, are
They're here, right there.
wait, they're actually here or
Yeah.
they're cosplayers?
No, they're here.
I mean, if Rory was here and didn't tell me, I'd be having words with him.
Yeah,
Well, ball and chain.
he was wondering why he didn't know you were here.
I'm wondering the same thing now.
Oh. All right. Well, that's all I gotta say.
Okay. Cheers.
Hi, thank you for being here at DragonCon once again. My question is related to Nebula and your preparation for her. You said you read the comics, but what do you think is the primary driver for her character? And without spoiling any future movies, what do you think her primary desire is going forward?
Great question. I think that, well, you know, always from the beginning, like in the first Guardians movie, Nebula wasn't so multi-dimensional. I think that she was kind of more on the villain side. We didn't really get to know her that well. But for me, like what drew me to the role and why I took it on was because I loved this relationship with her sister Gamora, and I found it really interesting. I felt that there was a lot of story in there and a lot of sibling rivalry and jealousy, and she was the overlooked sister. I mean, Gamora was the favorite, and she had all the lovely flowing hair, and Nebula was just like pieces of machinery, like cobbled together, and she always wanted to be on the same level as Gamora in her dad Thanos' eyes. So instantly there was just so much to play with there, and it didn't really show in the first movie, but I think movie by movie we're slowly unraveling that storyline and we're getting to know her a little bit more, and we're starting to see Gamora understand Nebula's point of view and vice versa, and so it's really lovely for me to see that sisterly relationship develop into something that's way more compassionate, and hopefully I just want to see them working together now to take down Thanos if it's possible.
And when I've heard you mention that you and Zoe are like dad, that you get along really great.
Yes.
So how is it to play when you're like, hey, we're besties and everything, they have to go on screen and just be really mean to each other. How did you guys approach that?
Sometimes it's really funny, like people would always laugh because we'd be like really like mean and badass and like fighting, and then if somebody like accidentally hit someone, it's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. We like break character, and it's like one of the weirdest looking things ever. So yeah, we just like get into it, and it's and she's great. She really helps me with the fight sequences because she's more experienced in that field than I am, and so even that lends itself to this sort of off-camera sisterly relationship where she's like, oh, it's gonna look better if you choke me like that. And I'm like, oh, this is weirdly like bleeding into what Nebula and Gamora's relationship would have been.
Hello.
Hi, since you've been involved in some very big productions with extensive crews, I'm wondering if you could pinpoint a particular role that you feel is kind of an unsung hero on the set, either something that the general public isn't aware of their role or just doesn't fully appreciate the contribution that they make.
Oh, you mean of the crew members?
Yes.
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, just every single crew member is so vital to making a movie. And it's easy to just sort of notice the actors because they're the faces that you're looking at, or maybe the director, because you see their name up there, but there's just so many people. I mean, the editor has a huge role, the producers have a huge role. I mean, logistically, they're the ones that are making it happen, So many people. I mean, the production designers, the costume designers, slaving away, making everyone look like a superhero. I mean, I could list everyone, and I don't think anyone's more important than anyone else. I really believe that everybody is working towards the same goal, and everybody's equal on a film set.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So, if you take a part that you're very, very enthusiastic about playing, does that make it easier or harder to perform the role with the
Great question.
that you do?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that it probably, for me, makes it easier because I am just really excited to get to dive into all of the work before playing the character because, like, I mean, there's just so much work that goes into a character before you're even saying any of the lines on camera. I mean, you're thinking about who this person is, who they think they are, who they're trying to represent themselves as to everybody else. I mean, just all of these things. So, like, having passion and enthusiasm really helps motivate you to do all of that groundwork. And then hopefully once you're on camera, it's easy because you did it all. You did all the hard work. And then you just get to play. But sometimes that can bring more pressure too, because if you're really enthusiastic and you're like, oh, I can't believe I get to play this role, it's more nerve-wracking because you're like, I don't want to mess it up for everyone. So it's both, really.
Yeah, I feel that way about asking questions in front of 100,000 people.
Well, you did amazing!
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and I had a question. Also, I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who. I've been watching it ever since I was like 4 years old.
Thank you. You make me feel so old.
So I was wondering if you had any tips for young actresses.
Sorry, what was the question?
Do you have any tips for young actresses?
Oh, do I have any tips for young actresses? Yes, I do. I think that, I mean, the way I approached becoming an actress when I was younger was I just wanted to practice as much as possible. So, I mean, if you could join like a local theatre group or like a drama group and get involved in school plays, I think that's a brilliant way to kind of get used to the feeling of being up there in front of people, and you're going to get better at that every time you do it. So I would just say practice as much as you can, and also what else I would say is just watch as many films or television shows as you can, and watch other actors that you like, because what I do when I'm not acting is I watch actors that I think are better at it than me, because that's how you can learn as well. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Who's next? Hi.
I hope you're having a pleasant day. My question is very simple. What is the most difficult scene you've ever had to film?
Good question. That delivery was amazing. The most difficult scene I've ever... Oh, well, this is an easy one for me. It was my goodbye scene in Doctor Who. Oh, my goodness. In some ways, it was the easiest scene because I wasn't acting. Like, when you watch that scene, like, I'm not acting, I'm just breaking down in a graveyard. I was like, we're in a graveyard, this is even more morbid. And, like, I mean, it was just so sad. And then Matt was breaking down, and I could tell that that wasn't acting either. And it's just, like, I remember, like, it being in the middle of shooting it, like, am I doing okay? Like, am I ruining it? Is this not as climatic as it needs to be? And the director was like, no, it's good. And I was like, I feel like it's rubbish. But it was always going to feel like that. And then I just sat on a grave, like, staring, and it was just so sad to say goodbye to all of those actors that were my friends, you know?
Hello?
Hi.
I want to know how you did the scene in Infinity War, like when you were first introduced in Infinity War, like when you're dressed.
Oh, when I'm like on this thing, like.
Yeah.
So that was interesting because I had to be like suspended in midair and also like broken into different pieces because my lovely father was torturing me. And that was funny because they built like a mold of my body, like lying down on my front, and then like put it on top of this huge post. So I would like climb up a ladder, lie down in it, and then I was just there until they would let me down. Just like, and they would like I'd have to hold my hands out and they'd be like shaking by the end of the takes as well, because it's like a workout. And that's basically how we did it. And then I think they did the rest with VFX in post-production. They did a really good job, I thought. And I just had to do a lot of screaming because I was in a lot of pain.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Patty.
Hi.
Just want to say, I just found out my fiance just walked into the panel, so I'm about to out myself, but I fought real hard for David Tennant as my favorite doctor, and when we started watching Doctor Who, because my fiance made me do it, he told me, he was like, I can't wait to get to Matt Smith, and then I broke down emotionally when I had to say goodbye to David Tennant, but when we started watching Matt Smith and you and Arthur Darvill, you guys are the best.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm going to hear it for 10 hours on the way back to Missouri. But my question, and if you don't answer, just say veto, because I have a backup. I saw on, I can't remember, it's a blog, that the scene where the doctor ends up in Amy's room in the TARDIS, and she like attacks, kisses him. I read that you guys had to reshoot that over and over because Matt kept kissing back, and I just wanted to know if that was right, and how was that?
Honestly, like, I would love nothing more than to sit here and be like, yeah, he just couldn't stop kissing me. But no, he did not do that. We had to reshoot it because I think we didn't finish it, is actually the boring reality of this. We didn't finish the scene. We had to pick it up later. And it was really weird because by that point we were like, oh, we're like siblings. This feels so wrong on every level. But no, he did not keep kissing me back, so I'm sorry, that's false.
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering, what would be the most silly, wacky, or just random encounter that you've had with a fan?
Ooh, oh my god, I've had so many cool ones. Where do I even start? I mean, people proposing in front of me is a real favorite. Because it's like, whoa, you are making me like a really big part of a monumental moment of your lives. But like, there's always that moment where it's like, oh my god, this is so cool, and they're so excited, and then they're just gazing into each other's eyes like, oh my god, we're gonna get married, and then I'm still there, and I'm like, I feel like I should maybe like leave you to it, or like third wheel. It's beautiful though.
Hi. What's been your favorite role, like the most fun role that you've had the chance to play?
That's a really tough question because I've loved all of them. I've been so lucky to be so enthusiastic about everything that I've played. I mean, Amy Pond always has a special place in my heart because, you know, it was the first big role I'd ever gotten as an actress, and it just became like my life, and it changed my life, and I feel like a lot of myself was in that character and vice versa. It was also fun to play Nebula because, unlike Amy Pond, I feel like none of myself is in that character, really. It's like a real departure, and that's fun as an actor. I'm choosing all of them. But also, being in the film Jumanji was fun because I got to embrace my inner nerd, which is very prominent. But usually I have to suppress it because I'm playing like badass chicks, but this chick was like really socially awkward, and I was like, yes, I can do this. I have this.
Hello.
Hey Karen,
Hi.
Thank you for making Dragon Con so special, like each year.
Thank you.
My first question is actually going to be from the lady behind me. She lost her voice, so I'll be asking her a question first.
Okay.
That's okay?
Yes?
Her question is, how was it to film the scene in Jumanji where you kissed The Rock?
I think he'd just been voted the sexiest man alive when we had to shoot that scene by People magazine. And I was like, my job is to kiss the sexiest man alive. Someone's got to do it. He was great, very respectful and gentlemanly, and I ate a mint because I'm nice. And we didn't do that many takes actually. It was a really weird experience though because it was the grossest kiss of all time. So I had to just really go for it and throw caution to the wind.
Awesome, and now my question.
Yes.
You were amazing in Selfie and Oculus and Jumanji, and everything you do is just so special.
Thank you.
My question is going to be about during your time at doing Infinity Wars and how I read online in a few articles that your long, beautiful hair clippings were used to make a Star Wars wig.
I can see where this rumor came from. I can clear that up though. What happened was for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I had to shave my head to play Nebula, so I was completely bald, and I had like really long hair. And as a gift, Marvel were like, okay, we're sorry for making you be bald, but we will make a wig out of your hair so that you can wear your hair after you're finished playing the character. And I was like, oh, great, so I can like go to auditions and not wear someone else's hair, it'll be mine, which is even creepier when you think about it. But anyway, so then they basically took each strand of my hair, like individual strand, and tied it into this wig. But they wanted like the best wig makers, and they were the people, the women who were working on the Star Wars movie at the time, which was the first one. What was that called? The one, you know, like of the reboot. Force Awakens. That was a test. You passed. Yeah, so it was the people who worked on Force Awakens, and they made the wig for me in their Star Wars like little studio thing. So I like the idea that there's all these like monster-looking things, and then just my hair. Thank you. Thanks.
So Karen, you're a huge inspiration to me as an actress.
Thank you.
Who are some of your inspirations?
Yes, okay, so I would say Jack Nicholson is really up there for me. Really love him as an actor. Him in The Shining is just something I want to do. I want to just be like going crazy in a hotel or something else like that. On screen. Who else? Tilda Swinton I really love, probably because she's a tall Scottish woman. I'm like, oh, you're like me. Who else? I mean, there's just so many people that come to these conventions as well. I'm just looking around and I'm seeing like Doc from Back to the Future and all these like cool people, and yeah, there's just so many inspiring people out there. But Jack Nicholson, and also this French actress called Isabelle Huppert, I just really like as well. Oh, one Isabelle Huppert fan over there. Yeah, she's amazing. You should check her out if you haven't seen her stuff.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Of all the roles that you've played, have there been any where you just immediately felt that you understood the character, immediately after you read the script?
Yes, I felt that way with Amy Pond. I really did. I was honest, like I had that feeling of like, no one else can do this. I know that they probably could, but like I think when you have that feeling as an actor, then it's a good sign and you have more of a chance of getting the role. But I'm just like, this girl I understand. Like, I just understand like her vulnerability. And she grew up, you know, and meeting her as a child, and then having this wild experience, and then getting like going on all of these adventures. I just felt like I could really portray that in a way, in an authentic way. So I would say that right off the bat, she was someone that I feel like I understood. The other ones, I think I had to do a little bit more work on, and also the character in Jumanji, I understood because I was like that as a teenager.
Back to the epic kiss in Jumanji.
Oh yes, that old chestnut.
What did the script say, and what did the director say?
The script said, 2 perfect physical specimens engage in the grossest kiss in cinematic history. And I was like, yes. I don't know what the director said. I think it was pretty self-explanatory from that one line in the script, I think. And then he watched it, and I remember him being a little lost for words, like laughing a lot.
So hi Karen, I did make it in the panel this year.
You did, you made it! Woohoo! Welcome.
Thank you.
You didn't make it last year.
Quick question, were you at the Marvel 10th anniversary photo shoot with all the people?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, what that was like for you, and if you were starstruck by anybody, or who was starstruck by you?
I don't know if anyone was starstruck by me, but I was starstruck by everyone. I mean, it was crazy, like, honestly, everywhere you looked was just like this incredible actor that you've grown up watching, or that you've started to see more recently. I mean, and they're all superheroes as well. It was like the ultimate convention almost, where you're just seeing everyone, and I was just like this fangirl, like, oh, how's it going? And it was brilliant, you know? And like, yeah, it was cool to see like Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, and like Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans and Mark Ruffalo just like all wandering around. So we did the photo, and then we all had a party afterwards, and that was cool because like all the directors of the movies were there, and everyone was just chatting all things Marvel and having some drinks. And it was just amazing, and everyone was just talking about how much they loved each other's work, so it was a really cool experience.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
You recently posted on Instagram kind of a joke video about auditioning for Cats.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, would you ever do a musical? And if so, what would you want to do?
Oh, a musical. Yes, I would definitely do a musical. I don't know though. You know what would be cool? Like combining sci-fi with a musical? I think I'd like to do something like that. Like go around on a spaceship and do original songs written by Arthur Darvill, because he's really good at that. He writes like amazing songs. Doctor Who'sical, did you just say? Bravo. I like that.
Hello. I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I love Amy.
Thank you.
But my question is more toward Guardians of the Galaxy. Which one would you say is more difficult, doing an accent besides your own, or wearing those god-awful contacts every day?
Ooh, it's definitely the contacts. Those things, I don't know if you've ever worn, like, what are they called?
Sclero lenses?
Yes, sclero lenses. They take up most of the eye. Like, so it's not just a little thing, you know, going over the pupils. And my God, I've been told that I'm not a candidate for lenses, which sounds really serious because basically every time they try to put them in, I'm squirming, going like, I can't do it! And it's like a real ordeal. And now I don't wear them anymore because I can't. So they had to CGI my eyes because it was just too traumatizing. I couldn't do it anymore. So the first movie is contacts, and then from then onwards it was CGI. Okay, thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
I had the pleasure 7 years ago of visiting Cardiff and doing a tour of the film locations.
Oh, yeah.
And the tour guide told us about a pub that you really enjoyed while there.
Cooch!
Yes.
Yes!
Great lunch. So I was wondering, since you film here a lot, what are some of your favorite restaurants around Atlanta?
Right. I have so many. My favorite is Per Calvin's, which is Asian Southern fusion. Yes, I got an applause. It's really, really good. I was there last night, actually. And also, I really like Empire State South, because they have the best coffee in the city, in my opinion. And also, there's a really good seafood restaurant called The Optimist. I really like that one, too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'm not going to ask you to confirm anything, but there's a lot of theories around the next Avengers movie. Do you have a favorite that you've heard?
I mean, I'm nervous to say anything about it. What can I say? I mean, I've heard a lot. I don't know. It's going to be so good. Huge spoiler coming from me. Nebula's going to get to do some cool, fun stuff and meet some new, cool, fun characters that I'm excited about. So that's not a rumor I've heard, I'm just telling you that.
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering, how was it for you and the other adult actors in Jumanji to try and take on teenage personas that had already been portrayed by teenage actors and actresses?
Yeah, that was really interesting. That was a fun challenge because we wanted to portray authentic teenagers, you know, not just like cartoonish caricatures. We wanted like real teenagers. But we filmed, so all of the adults in Jumanji filmed their stuff before the teenagers filmed any of their stuff, if that makes sense. So we like did all of the jungle stuff, and then the teenagers shot the stuff at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. And so we had to establish the characters ourselves, and then the teenagers came in and had to watch everything that we'd done, and then emulate what we had done. So really, the teenage actors should be getting most of the credit for the consistency between the performances. So I think they did a really amazing job. And for me, I mean, I don't know what the other guys did, but I would just hang out with my friend, the girl who played Martha, Morgan Turner, and we would just like have breakfast together, talk to each other, get a feel for each other's vibes, and then I sort of just passed over my words of wisdom as I wrapped on the movie. I was like, I did a lot of body hugging with my arms, and then throughout the movie, when she gains more confidence, they, you know, come down and she doesn't shield herself anymore, she's more comfortable in her skin, and then she just kind of took that and ran with it, so I was really happy when I watched the film.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
So I know that most of Avengers Part 2, the one coming out next year, is wrapped up filming, and there's a lot of secrecy around it. Have you had a hard time with that secrecy, or have you accidentally slipped up at any point when you shouldn't have?
I'm always constantly worried that I've just slipped up whenever I talk about it. I actually freaked out earlier in this panel when I was like, did I just say something I shouldn't have? But I don't think anyone's picked up on it, so that's good. But yeah, no, it's really difficult to kind of, you want to answer all these questions, but you can't really say anything, and that's an art form within itself. I mean, it's exciting that people are interested in the stuff that you're making, and so it's always cool when people ask the questions. I would love to tell you everything more than anything, but no, I think Marvel would probably have a little word with me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
I previously had the chance to meet one of your co-stars, Sean, at another convention.
Oh, yeah.
And being a big fan of yours, I asked him what it was like to work with you. And he said that you were the most professional, talented actress he had ever worked with.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
And I was curious who you've worked with that you had that sort of response to, that you were just blown away by them on set in their professional role.
I mean, it's always exciting when that happens, when you're like, okay, I really admire you, and you are living up to like everything that, you know, I'd hoped for. I felt that way about Robert Downey Jr. Seeing him work, I really wanted to see what his process was, and it's just so, like, he's so professional. Like, he's there on time, and he's delivering, and he's improvising so much around all of the dialogue there, which is just a joy to watch, because you're like, wow, you're like taking this to the next level. But he's also so inclusive, so it's like, any actor who maybe doesn't really know anyone or anything, he, you know, goes up to them, speaks to them. He did it with me, and he's like, encourages everyone to eat lunch together, so he makes it a really nice experience. Also, one of the actors that I was most excited to watch was Paul Clementia playing Mantis, because, I mean, actually I didn't know of her before the film, but watching her work on the film, I was like, whoa, just the craft that is going into this character. Like, she's made all these choices. She's washing her hands like a praying mantis, and like making all these amazing, funny, interesting choices. And I was like, she is a total inspiration to me as an actress.
Amy, what is your exercise regimen, and was it different for Jumanji?
God, yes. I wasn't working out when I got the role in Jumanji, and they were like, you start shooting in a few weeks and this is what you're wearing. And I was like, what? And I'd just been shooting a movie in Kansas City, and where all I was eating was McDonald's and barbecue. And I was like, okay, I really need to get it together. So I just like completely like flipped my whole eating pattern and workout regime, which was non-existent at the time. And they sent me to someone who could help me out with that to get it together really quickly. I would have loved to have had more time. And then I just started eating healthy and working out most days. But the main thing they told me to do was walking, which I was surprised by. They were like, if you could get enough steps in, then you're gonna get in shape. And I was like, really? I feel like I have to be like sweating in a gym, like, ah. But no, they were like, get your walk on. And I was like, great.
Hi.
Hi.
So, you know, one thing fans like to do is nitpick the movies they love, and you actually had one of the biggest nitpicks in Infinity War, or surrounding Nebula, which was, why didn't you just knock out Star-Lord when he's being dumb? So, what I was actually wondering is, do you nitpick movies that you're in more or less than movies that you're not in? Like, do you find being in the movie makes you not question as much, or is it like being involved in it makes you question it even more?
I would say it's probably the latter. Like, I think I question stuff whenever I notice it. So like, hopefully we notice it at the script stage rather than when you're watching it. And sometimes you can fix it, but like, I do know what you mean. Like, I definitely do that myself, but then we usually, like, I mean, there's a way to kind of like justify it almost. It's like Star-Lord's reaction, you know, was an emotional one. He's dealing with a loss, and people do really weird and things that are not smart in those moments, you know? And so I think that there's a way to kind of justify these things sometimes, at least from an actor's point of view, when I'm like, why is my character doing this? And it's like, well, if you think about it, she's in this state of mind. So that's usually kind of how the conversation goes, unless it's a real plot hole, and then it's probably fixed.
Hello.
Hi.
I was just wondering because I was a background extra in Jumanji.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was the one in the very back with like the red frohawk. They're like, your hair's too red, it matches Karen's too much, but she's better than me.
Did they really say that?
Well, they said my hair stands out too much. So.
That's so funny.
But I was just wondering, what is more stressful when you are doing an emotional scene, when you have a physically demanding scene, or when you're doing a scene like in Jumanji where there are like 500 people just walking around and you have to like run around and stuff?
What's more stressful?
Yeah.
I don't actually find any of them stressful because I just love it so much. So I don't ever find myself really getting like stressed out. I think like it's challenging to do the emotional scenes because, I mean, it physically takes a toll on you when you're crying, even though you know that you're fine and it's the character that's going through this bad time. Sometimes you have to call upon the things in your mind that make you sad in order to get to that place. So it's a weird sensation of, I know I'm fine, but I just feel like I'm sad. But weirdly, like that feels good too, because you're like, I feel like I'm achieving something at the same time. So it's like a weird mixture of feelings. It's definitely not stress, but it's draining to me.
Hi.
Hi.
So one of the things that fans really love to do with people they admire and they get to see a lot is to connect with them. So I guess for us, if you weren't an actress, what else would you choose to do for a profession?
It's interesting you say connecting with people because I sort of feel the same way and I think I would love to be a therapist or something in that field where I'm getting to connect with people and analyze human behavior because I think that's my greatest passion in life is human behavior, why people do the things that they do, and that's so, like it's a huge part of acting is like trying to understand why this character is doing any of the things that the character is doing. And so I really like that part of it. So if I wasn't an actor, I'd probably like to sit opposite people and try to understand them and help them.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yes?
When are you going to start taking appointments?
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Hello.
Hi.
Since you're such a prolific actor and you've read a lot of scripts and stuff like that, do you have any advice for like budding screenwriters and stuff like that of things to do and things not to do?
Yeah, I feel like, well, I've written some stuff myself, and I think that like the main way to learn how to write is to write, and also read other people's writing. So like, tips, I mean like structure is very important. One thing that I learned from the first script that I wrote, which I then made into a movie, I sort of didn't give any thought to the overall kind of like momentum of the movie building towards something. It was kind of just very like I wrote whatever I felt and it didn't feel like it was gathering momentum to me. It's okay in the movie because we fixed it in the edit, but I would say just that your writing has consequences, if that makes sense. Like somebody's going to have to like film that and then they're going to sit in an edit room and deal with it. So if there's issues, then it becomes really difficult to deal with later on down the line. So it's about perfecting the script. A lot of people say don't say anything that you can show, so it's like show it rather than say it, because that's kind of maybe more fun to watch than just listen to dialogue all the time. And yeah, structure-wise, maybe like a book called Save the Cat is one that I read, and that's really good for structure for scripts. Thank you. Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
When you and Matt were filming Vincent and the Doctor in the museum scene with Bill and Tony, did you feel the weight of that scene when you were filming it, or did you have to go back and watch it? Because it's kind of a classic for Doctor Who.
You know, yes, we did feel the weight of that scene, because what happened was, I remember, because Tony, who played Vincent, had to be very emotional in that scene. And he was really getting in his own, but he was in the corner on his own, so we didn't notice, and me and Matt were being so loud and laughing. We were like, rah, having a good time. And then the director came over to us and he was like, guys, can you be quiet for a second? Like, Tony really needs to get in the zone for this. And we were like, oh, yeah, of course, we didn't realize. And then we just looked over and he was like crying. We were like, whoa, this scene is emotional. And then we watched him, they shouted action, and we watched him film the scene and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is, this is a heavy one.
Hi.
Hi.
First, I gotta say, by the way, you were awesome in Doctor Who. Also, that dance fight scene. Jumanji, pretty awesome.
Thank you.
But my question is, what's sort of the biggest or craziest stunt that you've done across all the movies and Doctor Who and everything?
I've had to do some really scary stunts, I would just like to point out. And I'm terrible with like being like dropped from things. I hate it. And then there was, I think it was during some reshoots for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and they suspended me at the top of the studio ceiling, which is higher than this ceiling. And then I was like on a harness and stuff, and then they just let me free fall for like a little while filming me. And then there was like this machine that was connected to the wire that I was on that would like stop me before I hit the ground. And then I was like, oh my god, wait a minute, so my life is in the hands of a machine? What if like someone unplugs it or something? Like how does that work? I mean, I think there were people also doing it manually, but still. So that was really scary because like it would be like the anticipation of waiting at the top and then just like, ugh. And I was like, oh my god. That was scary.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question is, when Infinity War was announced, everybody was obviously looking forward to the whole cast of characters coming together and interacting with each other. So is there any of the characters or the actors that you were looking forward to having to work with that you didn't get to work with?
Robert Downey Jr. for sure, who I did not get to work with on the first movie. Yeah, really, I was really excited to sort of see how he worked. Who else? Everyone. I just wanted to see all the superheroes walking around in costume doing like really normal, mundane things like, oh, what did you have for dinner last night? Oh yeah, I tried this new dish. And I'm like, you're Thor! What? So yeah, that was pretty.
And the second question is, can you give me an opinion on this since you play her sister? Why is Gamora?
Very good question. I don't know why is Gamora. I've been asking myself that for some time. That Nebula definitely has. Why is Gamora even here?
Howdy.
Hi.
So I have a question about like scenes and acting and prepping for them, because I'm a new actor and I'm getting into it, and I'm wondering like what's your most preferred and least preferred like emotional scenes, like comedy and emotional, and like how do you prep for them?
I don't have a favorite in terms of like genres, like whether it's comedy or serious. Like, I mean, really great stuff for me has a little of all of that. I think things can be funny and sad and everything. I mean, I think in really sad situations in life, sometimes we laugh because it's just like, whoa, I don't know how to deal with this. It's crazy. So I think you can sort of bring everything into it. In terms of preparation, what I start with whenever I get any character is this. I basically write down, I go through the script and I'll write down on the top of a page of paper, I'll write, what does my character say about myself? What do I say about myself? And then I'll go through the script and write down every line where I say something about myself, whether like, I'm a really nice person, or, you know, I really like to do this. So you write all of those down. And then on another page, you can write down everything that another character says about me. So that would be all of the lines of dialogue where people describe me like, oh, she's just a terrible person, she's not funny at all. And then you can sort of look at all of those and you can sort of get a sense of the overall character from that, and it's a nice starting point, and then you can take it from there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi again. I have a question about Guardians 3, and I want to ask it in a nice way.
Okay.
There may be a different director. What is going on that you've heard that people are saying nice about some of the potential candidates who might direct Guardians 3 if James Gunn is still unavailable?
I think right now you're really focused on Avengers films, right? For the most part?
I think so. I mean, the truth is none of us know anything, unfortunately. And so all we can do is focus on what we do have, which is another Avengers movie coming out that we're all really, really excited about. But unfortunately, no news for the next Guardians as of yet. Thank you. Thank you.
Your sexy walk in Jumanji was
Best transition of the convention. Thank you.
Wait, I missed the last part of the sentence. What about my sexy walk in Jumanji?
It was epic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, that was it.
Did you two come up with that on your own?
I think I came up with that at some point during rehearsals. I think I just always wanted to do that. And I was like, this is finally an opportunity to do the weirdest walk of all time. It was really fun to play around with that though, like, and weirdly easy to be terrible at being sexy.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say, my husband and I had a Doctor Who themed wedding, and we had
Did you?
Amy and Rory little figurines as our cake toppers. So
Oh,
your
amazing.
relationship in the show kind of like mirrored ours and was
Oh, amazing.
something we connected over. So thank you
Cool.
for that.
Of course.
Besides Matt Smith, who would you say is your favorite Doctor?
Ooh, if I can't choose Matt Smith, I'm gonna choose David Tennant. It has to be. I think he's incredible. He's an incredible actor. He's Scottish. There's been so many Scottish people in Doctor Who now that I think about it. Capaldi. I love Capaldi too, but David Tennant was someone that I totally watched, and my mum is the biggest Whovian ever, and so she loved David Tennant, and when he left, she was like, I'm not gonna like this next guy. And then she fell in love with Matt, and you know, her daughter happened to be in it, which was really random for her.
Hi, I was wondering, would you ever cosplay? And if so, who or what would you cosplay as?
I could do a Klingon. I feel like I make a great Klingon. We need a ginger Klingon. Right.
Hi, you're delightful every time I see you. Thank you for being an outstanding human being.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of different directors have different approaches to how much improv or at what stages in development of a show or a movie they want to have that happen. What do you prefer? Do you like being able to work with the writers early on? Do you like doing more on-set, spontaneous work?
As an actor, I like to learn my line. I like to be really off book. So like by the time I get in the morning, like I'm not having to like learn my lines during makeup, which is just stressful, I think. Like I've just done so much work the night before that I come in and I'm relaxing and chatting, and then I can just go to set and it's all ready to go. And then what I like to do is like get the version of the scene that was written. And then I always ask the director for a fun run, once we've gotten the scene to a place where we like it. And then I get to do whatever I want and say whatever I want, and they can't give me any notes. And I never know what's going to happen, like I don't pre-plan anything. And then it's always just really fun. Like sometimes, honestly, it's terrible, and sometimes like something brilliant happens, and there's just no way to know what's going to happen, and that's kind of where you can like touch on something that's, like discover something, magic or something like you never expected.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So, what would you say in those moments when the dream is so great that you feel you can't achieve it? What would you say to someone who has already given up but still carries the hope to revitalize the flame?
I think that honestly, like anything is possible, truly. Like, I mean, if somebody else has done it, then you know that it's possible for you. I mean, if a human being can do it, then so can you. I mean, we're all just human beings, right? So like, I would say just don't doubt yourself, and even if other people doubt you, that doesn't mean that you have to doubt you. I was so lucky. My parents like raised me in a way where they never expressed any doubt in me. So like whenever I was like, I want to be an actress and on TV and stuff, they were like, okay, cool, like go for it. Like if anything, not even pushing me, just like yeah, if that's what you want to do. And being that casual about it, I think like made me not doubt myself in those situations. So I think if you can recognize that you might be doubting yourself, you can rectify that, because you're absolutely capable of doing anything that you want to do, but you have to be willing to put the work in, because my God, I swear most of this is just persistence.
Thank you.
Thanks. Motivational talks.
Hi, Karen. Thanks
Hi.
for coming back to Dragon Con.
Of course.
When we first meet Amy Pond as an adult, she has a dream job. Did you, early in your career, ever have any similar dream jobs? Or
Wait, are you saying a kissogram is a dream job? I'm not sure that's what we're aspiring to.
sarcastically as a dream job? Did you ever have a job like that?
Oh, I see. Sarcasm.
Yeah.
That totally went over my head. So, yes, I had many dream jobs. I worked in a supermarket on the cheese counter. I made pizzas and served them to people. I worked as a waitress in a hotel on the breakfast shift for a grand total of 1 day. Because honestly, you have to get up really early. I mean, it's, I guess, the same time I have to get up to like film things, but I'm more willing to do that. It's like, I want to get up for that, but that was a tough one, you know. I mean, I did so many jobs, and I'm really grateful. I worked in a pub in London, like pulling pints. I was like a barmaid, like all sorts. And I think that it's really important to have those experiences in your life, because now I'm just so grateful that, you know, I get to do this job that I really love, and I get to like come to things like this and chat to you all about it, and it's just like I feel so lucky, and I think that I recognize that because of all of those dream jobs that I had. Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, I love you. You're my favorite companion.
Thanks.
And second, do you have any acting advice for being either evil or pessimistic?
Yeah, I would probably say, for me, like, so the evil character, Evil, that I played was Nebula in the first Guardians. She was technically a villain. And so I never saw her as that, and I think that's the key when approaching these characters, is I don't think you're playing evil. I think what you think you're doing is right, and it just happens to be having a negative effect on some other people, maybe. But essentially, like, I'm like Nebula's lawyer, where I'm like, look, no, she's justified in doing the things that she's doing. It's just the way you're viewing it is wrong. And I think that's the way to approach an evil character. It's not evil, just try to understand them.
Thanks.
Thanks.
We have time for 2 very, very quick questions.
Ooh, what's it gonna be?
So make them good.
Hi. 2 of my kids, well, one of my kids is with me and is gender fluid. And so Doctor Who means a whole lot to us because the doctor you're generating is female, which in our family is a huge deal. And so my child can look up at the screen and just see a piece of themselves.
Yes.
Is there ever been a movie or a book or anything where you've just looked up there and said, oh my God, that's me, and it just meant something to you?
Yeah, I feel like when I was a teenager, that was incredibly important, because those are some really formative years, I think. I'm trying to think. This is a really weird answer. Have you ever seen the movie Never Been Kissed, starring Drew Barrymore? I remember being like so nerdy when I was younger and thinking, she's a nerd. She went back to high school and redid everything. And I remember just loving seeing a character like that on screen, thinking, oh, she like trips over like I do. That's not the same as your story.
That's exactly what I was talking about, though.
Oh, great, okay.
Hello.
Hi.
So, I just wanted to know how, like, what are the steps to an audition?
Well, you know, it's sometimes quite tough to get an audition. That's half of the battle sometimes, just getting in the room. And so what I realized that when I was maybe around 15, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try and get myself an acting agent. And so I just called around all the agencies that I could in the UK, and everybody said no because I'd never done anything. And then one guy in Scotland just happened to say yes. And it just felt like luck, but it wasn't really, because I'd been calling around so many. And then he just started getting me auditions. And so you kind of need to start with the agent part, or you can go online and look for open auditions for things. Or even if there's someone that you really love, you can write a letter to them, something like that. You just have to sort of find a way in any way that you can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Karen, for coming today and talking to us. How long are you going to be watching today?
Oh, I don't know. I'm terrible with my my schedule, but I'll be there at some point.
Okay, so people can come by and see you there.
Yes, you can.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Gillan.